I'm Chris Nessie, host of Behind the Mic, Voices of the EPN, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, welcome back. Steve here, and today I'm talking with Lisa Gitelson, the CEO of the Fresh Air Fund. It's a nonprofit that creates opportunities for children 8 to 18 from the 5 boroughs of New York City to attend sleepaway camps and experience the great outdoors. This is awesome. What an incredible program. You're going to love this talk. Thanks for listening. Oh, by the way, before you go, it'd be so cool if you took a second to help out the podcast. How could you do that? Glad you asked. Here's 3 ways. 1, you could tell a friend and share links. 2, you could go to my website and leave a review and subscribe. And 3, you could click on the link on my website homepage to buy me a coffee. By doing this, you could donate $1 or $2 to help me address the costs associated with producing the podcast. That'd be so cool. You are awesome. Enjoy the show.
It's the Education Podcast, your favorite show, with lots of groovy guests and they share what they know. So crank it up to 10 and let your neighbors know that here's another show with Dr. Steve Milletto. Teaching, learning, leading, K-12. Teaching, learning, leading, K-12. Teaching, learning, leading, K-12. With Dr. Steve Milletto.
Lisa Gitelson is the CEO of the Fresh Air Fund. Each year, the nearly 148-year-old nonprofit invites about 3,000 low-income New York City-based children ages 8 through 18 to spend the summer swimming, rowing, hiking, and stargazing in Fresh Air Fund camps. Throughout Lisa's career in public service as an attorney and child welfare advocate, she has been dedicated to addressing the needs of underserved youth. Prior to joining the fund, she was Assistant Executive Director, Legal Counsel for the New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. She also works with the CUNY School of Social Work at Hunter College, where she teaches the policy and practice of child welfare. As Assistant Executive Director, Legal Counsel for NYSPCC, Lisa identified legislation and other public policy issues that impacted the organization's work and developed an advocacy agenda to move public policy efforts forward. Previously, she served as Associate Executive Director downstate at the Council of Family and Child Caring Agencies, where she was responsible for bringing private foster care, juvenile justice, residential care, and prevention service agencies together to coordinate advocacy efforts for the child welfare and juvenile justice systems. In this role, Lisa represented COFCCA member agencies in discussions with the Administration for Children's Services, the New York City Council, and the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. Prior to COFCCA, Lisa was the Director of Foster Care and Adoption Services at Sheltering Arms Children and Family Services. She began her career as an attorney representing foster care agencies before serving in multiple leadership and supervisory roles at the New York City Administration for Children's Services, Family Court Legal Services. Lisa is a graduate of Colgate University and has a JD from Washington University School of Law. Our focus today is the Fresh Air Fund. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us, and say hi to everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and grateful to you all.
Awesome. So, Lisa, let's start with this. What is the Fresh Air Fund? Could you talk about how it is funded or gets its support from?
Absolutely, and thank you. So the Fresh Air Fund is an organization that believes that all youth of New York City should have access and the ability to participate in the outdoors all year round, and especially in the summer. We run 6 sleepaway camps, which are run without fee to the children who come. These are relatively traditional summer camps that have all the kinds of activities that you think of, like boating and swimming, archery, sports, arts and crafts. And they're also not so traditional in that we are creative and constantly updating what we offer the youth who come to us. We are extraordinarily proud of the camps and what they offer the youth who come. We believe that children learn in the outdoors in experiential ways that are different than anywhere else in their life. And we believe that social emotional learning takes place at our camps in ways that are impactful and lead the youth who come to us to become fully themselves and part of the communities that they live in and will one day lead. We are funded traditionally by donors, by private donors. We do receive some New York State funding and some foundation funding, but it is at large part individual funders who make the work that we do possible. And we do fundraising year round for these purposes.
That's awesome. I Notice in your website that it has places that if you want to make a donation or such, that it's possible to do that. So good stuff. I'm sure we'll refer to that again later. So I got to ask this. I know in your introduction we talked about the kids coming from different communities and such, but I mean, where do they come from? I mean, how do they get to attend the summer program?
So all of the youth that we serve come from the 5 boroughs of New York City. To be eligible for our programs, you need to both live in one of the 5 boroughs and go to school in one of the 5 boroughs. And we also have a financial cap so that if your family is eligible for food assistance, you will also be eligible to come to our programs without fee. How do the kids come to us? We do a lot of outreach. We are in the communities that we serve all the time, doing outreach, meeting families. We work with partners in the community who also know families and youth. We get a lot of repeat kids who come back. One of the things I love is we have a lot of intergenerational families. I joke about this a little bit, but if I'm wearing a Fresh Air Fund t-shirt and I walk through the city, it is almost impossible to go more than 4 blocks without somebody stopping me to tell me like they did a Fresh Air Fund program or their grandparent did a Fresh Air Fund program and now their kids are doing it. And when I meet the families of our present youth, often they say that they did our programs and they wanted their kids to do their programs. So always happy that we are known in the community and trusted in the community.
That is so cool. That really is. Yeah. All right. So how long does the summer program last and what do the kids do while they're at camp? And I have to make sure we talk about this. Why is interacting with nature something very critical to your program?
Great. I'm going to answer all of those. So we have several sessions during the summer. Kids come to us depending on which camp they attend for either 2 weeks or for 3.5 weeks. The camps have different length programs. As I said, we have 6 different camps and they have some different programming based on the camp. Kids who come to the camps are going to, again, do things like every year we do a survey to find out what kids' favorite activities are. And it's really interesting to me. Always number 1 is swimming. Every kid who comes to us on day 1 is going to have a swim test. And when you are at camp, you'll see every kid is wearing a bracelet of a certain color. That color tells you what parts of the lake they can swim in. Our kids are swimming almost exclusively in lakes. There's 1 pool, but mostly in the lakes. And kids will take swim lessons every single day that they are at camp. They will have free swim every day. And many of the kids move up levels in swimming and are super proud of that. One of our staff, I'm always really love to tell this story. There's a staff member who's now been a staff with us for several years. He came to us as a camper, didn't know how to swim. And at this point, he is on his college swim team and convinced his mother to learn to swim and got her to go to the community pool and she learned to swim. And that's a lovely thing to do in your life, right? It's about like learning new things, feeling really proud of them and having some belief that you can try new things because you did this one. So swimming is always kids' number 1 favorite. Number 2 is always archery, which I always find interesting too. I mean, archery is really fun. Kids love it. We have high ropes course. We have low ropes course. We have all the different sports that you can think of. There's a very popular sport called Gaga, which is mostly seen in camps in the Northeast. I played Gaga as a camper and loved it. I'm glad that we have Gaga pits at our camps. We have a planetarium. We have a farm. We have a nature center. Kids go on hiking. Every kid will do an overnight in the woods where they sleep out overnight. So there's a wide range of activities. And we deeply believe that nature serves as therapy for all of us. For, New Yorkers, especially during COVID, we learned how important it was to be outdoors. When we were closed in and in our homes and in our smaller size apartments, we understood what it meant to not have access to the outdoors. There's a tremendous amount of research beyond like what we all have experienced in life. There's a tremendous amount of research, and we actually have just finished publishing a research paper on the impact of the outdoors on youth, what it means to have access to the outdoors and what it means if you don't. And there's a tremendous amount of research that talks about mental health well-being from being in the outdoors. And I think most of us know that time spent outdoors feels both physically healthy and mentally healthy to do. And it's always good to know that the research supports that. I know for myself, when I am feeling really overwhelmed, I will start getting itchy to be outdoors. And being outdoors can really provide a huge mindset reset for me. So we do have both the research behind it, which will be on our website soon if people are interested in going to our website and reading that research paper. We also, if you just talk to the youth who come to our programs, they will talk about what a difference it is to have some really concentrated outdoors time.
That's awesome. That's especially because I just want to bring back something that you said before. They're coming from the 5 boroughs of New York. I mean, so that's what a cool experience and activity. And I can no wonder why so many would be coming back over the years, I would think. So,
yeah, I would say 2 things. One, which is that I think for every single one of us, doing something new and different just gives us a bit more grit, a bit more resilience, a bit more belief in who we are, that we can tackle anything. So whether I live in New York City and I go outdoors, or I live in the country and I come to the city, like experiencing something new and different is a value for everybody. And we also know that there's a tremendous amount of outdoors in New York City. And one of the things we really want to always encourage the youth who we serve is that when they're back in New York, they have access to those outdoor activities in New York City. And we also do our best to introduce the outdoors of New York City to the youth so that they know it's always available to them, and the value of always having the outdoors at your availability.
that's awesome. I love it. All right. So who are the counselors or the adults who work with the students, the participants? I mean, where'd they come from? And, do your campers, and you kind of answered this one already, but, do they ever come back to be adults?
Sure.
The campers come back to be counselors?
Yeah, so absolutely our kids come back to be counselors. And we know that some of our strongest counselors are those who've experienced the program. If you're a kid who's at the camp for the first time and your counselor can say, I remember when I did this, it has a different weight. We absolutely both recruit counselors from New York City, we recruit counselors across the country, and we also have counselors who come to us internationally. We believe also there's a huge value in kids knowing all different types of people from all different backgrounds, and that's one of the things we're able to offer. One of the things that I am most excited for this summer is we have had a counselor in training program for several years. So that's when the older kids start training to become counselors. This summer, for the first time, we have a singular camp that is only for the counselors in training program. It's a camp that will be dedicated to building our next leaders. So all of the youth that are learning to be counselors will be at that camp together with very specific curriculum for that, and a lot of fun and joy and outdoors, but also building our next leaders, so that these are the youth that we believe are going to, hopefully one of those kids will have my job in 20 years and be running the Fresh Air Fund. But the idea being that like the youth who are our participants become our leaders is really important to us.
That is so cool. That really is. All right. So, and I'm guessing that part of that, having that camp and so forth for the counselors probably is part of this, but how do you make sure that they learn how to deeply engage the kids? And, and I basically got to know this. I mean, how do you sell the idea to the kids about we're going to have fun? Yes, we are.
So all of the counselors, all of our staff go through very intense training, and it's fun and serious and intense. The training is a little bit over a week long, and it is well thought out and very intentional about what it is that we are teaching. And we want to give a toolkit to everybody who works for us to succeed. It's better for everyone who has a job wants to, do well. And if you have the toolkit to do that, you will do well. So we have a director of training, and we also have somebody who's in charge of the summer training. And so I will do some of the trainings. We bring in people to do trainings from all over, and we also continue doing training during the summer so that staff always feel supported, have all of the different knowledgeable techniques that are important. And we have regular supervision for all of the staff so that during the summer, they're going to continue to get some one-on-one coaching and support to do their best work. How do we sell it to the kids? It's generally pretty easy to convince kids that being outdoors is fun. We do have videos, which are also available on our website. But what we do, and, safety is the most important thing. And number 2, and I say this a lot, is joy. Like the summer is a time for joyfulness. Like you're going to learn stuff, you're going to experience things. all of these things, and all of it has to be through a sense of joy. So talking about the really fun things that we get to do, talking to kids often will be talking to staff who will be working at camp so that they can hear from them what it's going to be like. We certainly have the opportunity for kids to talk to kids who've already gone to camp, for parents to talk to other parents. We make it really open and share everything. I have to be honest, it's not so hard to sell to kids the idea of running around outdoors and having fun is going to be fun, because it just is fun. It is, I think camping can be this time in a youth's life that is wildly fun and wildly impactful and important for who they continue to develop into as a person.
That's so important. It's so just awesome, because that's having been someone who's over time camped a lot, starting as a young kid and all through the years, and helped others do camping and things like this through different programs. It's just I know the impact of it, and I can only imagine what your program is providing for all of these youth. So cool stuff. All right. So what's the greatest challenge that you think many of these kids face when they first arrive at camp?
I think for many kids, it's the first time they're away from home for a sustained period of time and not knowing anyone else. So we very quickly get them into building community. And we very quickly get them into being acclimated to the physical environment of camp. It's a different place than where you may have lived ever. The kids that you're living with and the adults who are supervising you are new people. So we do work very quickly to set a community. First day of camp, kids are going to create the rules for their cabin. They're going to do a lot of games to get to know each other better. For anyone who's gone to camp, one day of camp often, I would equate it to almost like a week. When people are at the end of the 2 weeks of camp, kids will feel like they've known each other for a year, and they've had that much fun experience. So a day at camp is kind of different than a day in the real world. But day one, we're going to be starting to work to create community and comfort in a new environment with new people. But I think those are the things that, are new and different and take a little while to get used to.
That's cool. That's, it's just interesting, because I can only imagine, but having gone through it myself with other programs, it's and then ultimately with, Army basic training, that was an interesting camp that you went to where you knew nobody, and then suddenly you had to make friends. And I know that feeling that you're talking about. Suddenly within a day or two, you feel like, oh, how many years I've been here now? It's a cool feeling as you connect and so forth. Good stuff. All right. So what do you think makes the program effective? I mean, I'm guessing you have small group sizes, programs that are the different types of programs they get to participate in. What do you think? What helps make it successful?
I think, the mission that we have to serve youth from New York City in experiential outdoor fun is just one that really makes us successful. It's a great recipe, right? This is something that I feel extraordinarily lucky to be able to serve in. I've had lots of different opportunities to serve youth in my career, and this one is the one that gets me most excited, and that truly, I believe, is most positively impactful of all the work that I've ever gotten to do. And what makes us successful is that the staff who walk into our doors every morning believe that too. And when we really all know that this is good work, that it's important work, that it's work that is impactful, I think that's really what makes us successful. I believe, and I think this is something that is felt throughout this office, every person whose life is impacted impacts all of us. So, every opportunity we have to do that type of work is work to be grateful for, and people are happy to come in to do this work. And again, we really do infuse it with joy. So I think the success is yes, we're great at doing curriculum. We're great at training our staff. We are great at creating activities. And that all is layered upon the fact that we deeply believe in the importance of this work. And I think that's what makes us really, truly successful.
That's cool. Good stuff. All right. So are the parents hesitant? I mean, because there's got to be any number of things, like the kids going away for the first time and stuff like that. I mean, what's going on there?
Sure, there's definitely a parent hesitancy for all different reasons, and that's something we are very prepared for. It's one of the things that I have a team that does community outreach, and they're very trained to be knowledgeable about what kinds of concerns parents might have, to talk about what those concerns are, but even more than just talk, to listen, to really hear what people's concerns are so they can be addressed. For some families, it's the first time that they will be sending their child away from home, and that can feel very stressful. For some of our families, it's the first time their kid is going to do camping. And if they haven't done camping, it's an unknown that can seem also a little bit overwhelming. Um, so I think, a lot of it is the idea of newness and not having, your youth with you in the home, that can feel overwhelming. During COVID, which, there's still some lingering feelings about, we all kept our kids home. And we kept them home because not being at home was safe. And we have worked really hard to also kind of address the feelings that were built up during that time period of like, I need to keep my kid at home to keep my kid safe. And I think, my team is very, very effective at talking about this, but also really effective is all the parent ambassadors out there who talk to other parents and talk about why this is a good thing. I just want to add to, and like I try to say this because I believe it. I went to sleepaway camp as a kid for 4 summers. I worked at a sleepaway camp for 4 summers. I sent my kids to sleepaway camps, and my kids were counselors at sleepaway camps. And here's one of those things parents don't always talk about, but I think we should, and we should say it. It is both really good for your child to have some time of independence. Children being away from home builds this incredible sense of self, incredible independence. Your child will come back to you in these ways that are different and changed in the most positive ways. And it's also okay for parents to have a little independence time. And it's okay for parents to have a 2 or 3 week break also. And I know parents don't always, want to say that, but I will say, as a parent of 2 now young adults, it was also helpful for me to have, a break while my kids were away. And that's all fine and good. Everybody gets some time to themselves. So that's something else, that we can talk about with parents also.
That's awesome. I guess there's so many firsts that are happening there, and especially with some of the events that happened not too far that not that far ago that just make it even scarier, because it already is scary for a parent. I mean, I totally understand my father and mother now. It's like after having your own children, and then you have to deal with them going places or things like that, and not so very long ago. I have to say it that way because it is an ancient history, I think. But you didn't have all the things that you can today to keep tabs on
Right.
where they might be or
Right.
something
I
like
feel
that.
like when our kids are camp does not have the kids don't have cell phones. Like you can write to your kid and your kid can write to you, but it's a different, like you're not going to have communication like you might have previously. So that's also just something to get used to.
So much so, cool. It is interesting. Like you were talking about. I mean, my sons are in the work world and doing their thing and all that sort of stuff. But I think someone said one time, ever heard that once you have children, that you're probably going to be thinking about them, worried about them for the rest of your life. So
I once heard a pediatrician say that having a child is like letting your heart walk around outside of your body. And
nice.
it's kind of true, right?
Yes,
And
very much so.
sometimes you need to let your heart walk around outside of a sleepaway camp and trust that it's going to be fine.
Love that. Love it. Good stuff. All right. So what do you think are some of the greatest takeaways or lessons campers will have, after summer with the program?
I think, again, like anytime you get to do something new, it's joyful and it builds you up. Like it lets you know the next, even if you don't love the new thing, knowing that you did something new means the next time something new is presented, you're going to be fine with it. I think that building new relationships is one of the most important things that happens at camp. Building relationships with other kids, building relationships with counselors, building new relationships is one of those muscles that's so important for each of us to do and makes us stronger on the other side. I think kids come back with a different sense of who they are. They've learned a little bit more about what they're capable of. And that is a lovely thing. And they're going to just have had fun. Like sometimes I have to always remember to say, like, it's going to be several weeks of fun and joy. And everybody wants to have some fun and some joy. I truly believe, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but like both every new activity, new thing that you take on and you do it, makes you a better, more interesting, stronger person, and that every relationship you make, whether they become your best friend or you learned how to have a relationship with somebody who is hard for you to have a relationship with, makes you stronger and more like fully a human being. So I think that's what you come back from camp with.
That's so awesome. I love it because that just, when you experience things like that, there's being put into a situation to be able to have those experiences, those feelings, those connections and things like this. It really is something that, you can build upon then, I think. And this is so cool that you guys do that.
I will just add, because I think you might especially like this, one of our camps this summer is going to be doing podcasts at the end of each session. The kids will be doing their own podcast to talk about what it was like to be at camp. So they will both be able to save that as their own memory and share it with their parents who weren't at camp for the whole summer. And so they're going to learn about making podcasts too, which I think is kind of a fun, exciting new thing they're going to take on.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Yes, near and dear to my heart right there. Cool stuff. All right. So do you have other like year-round offerings that will help to, maintain that bond Fresh Air creates with the children?
Yeah, we do. We have a bunch of year-round offerings. So all of the kids who come to camp will have reunion weekends throughout the year. So if you go to this camp, there'll be, somewhere between 2 and 3 reunion weekends that happen over the school year. Which we love. Kids take the bus back up to the camp and get to spend a weekend at camp. And it's always interesting too, because they're normally there in the summer. So when you go up in the winter, you might be doing snowshoeing, or you might be tapping the maple trees to make some maple syrup, but you're going to be doing different activities, some sledding, some, outdoor kinds of things. In addition to the reunion weekends, we run several programs. So we run a college readiness program. We have a career awareness program. We have 3 programs that focus on kind of what it means to grow up in the world. One is called Circle of Brotherhood. One is called Young Women's Giving Circle. One is called Breaking Barriers. And they're kind of really just really like, how do I become the person I'm going to be programs. Again, they're very fun. We have a new program, which I'm super, super excited about, that will be starting next September, where mentors will be assigned to youth who they will then be taking to do outdoor activities in New York City, again, with the goal of making sure that all the youth that we serve know that New York City has outdoors year-round available to them, that we want you to come to us during the summer and we'll take you on a bus upstate and you'll have outdoors. And when you're not there, that all year round in New York City, there's outdoors accessible no matter the weather, no matter what borough you live in. So that new program will begin this coming fall, which I'm also really excited for.
That is awesome. That is so exciting. Nice stuff. All right, Lisa, where can our listeners find additional information, connect, and learn more?
So definitely want to go to freshair.org. On freshair.org, you can find out how to apply if you have a youth you'd like to be in our program. You can find out how to apply to work at our summer programs, or if we have year-round jobs available. And you can also find out how to make donations if you're interested in supporting the work that we do.
Too cool. I'll put that information in the show notes so it's easy for them to hook up to it. One last question for you, Lisa, and this is a question I like to ask my guests, and it goes like this. Do you have a teacher in your past who made a difference in your life? If so, who was it, and what would you say if given a chance to say thank you?
So if I can, and I'll be brief, I had 5 teachers that I wanted to note. Is that okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to start out by thanking Phyllis Mendelson. Phyllis was my nursery school teacher. She taught my brother as well. Phyllis, to this day, I remember her in my heart, and I have her recipe for matzo ball soup, which I make every year at Passover, and was just pulling out to make for this year. So Phyllis Mendelson was somebody who taught me a tremendous amount about joy as a little kid and how to have fun. Shirley Gillis was my kindergarten and first grade teacher. She absolutely taught me to be adventurous. I was a little bit of a quiet kid, and she taught me to be louder and to take on things that seemed silly, and really brought out all the silliness and fun that is so important to youth. In college, I just wanted to thank Professor Chris Vesey. I got to college and in some ways tried to do a few things that were easier, and Professor Vesey never allowed for it. Professor Vesey said to me, you're going to do the hardest things and you're going to push yourself the hardest you can. And he was 100% right, and I'll always be grateful. And then I have just 2 more professors. I promise they'll be quick. Professor Jules Gerard, who was a law school professor, who asked me to be his student researcher, which shocked me because could not be more different in the ways we viewed the world. And when he asked me to be his research assistant, I kept saying, "Are you sure you mean me?" And his response was, "I need somebody as a research assistant who thinks in very different ways than me, and you're it." And that is like, a professor who, in my mind, had certainly a lot of power and ability to make choices. To say, like, I want somebody who calls me to the carpet, that was a big deal. And it was really, I was honored to be his research assistant. And then this is just very funny and good timing. I was talking to somebody last week who said, "Oh, I know you went to WashU Law School." They knew somebody who taught at WashU Law School and wondered if I knew them. And I said, not only do I know them, they were one of the most important professors I've ever had. I'm so grateful to be able to tell you to tell them thank you. He wrote to them that night and told her how much I'd meant, and she wrote back saying thank you. But Professor Susan Appleton, who both taught courses that I was deeply interested in, but also just really showed me how I was going to be a young lawyer in the world. And I was grateful to all of those teachers and all of those professors who impacted me and helped me to be where I am today.
That's so cool. I appreciate you sharing that. That's awesome. Lisa, thank you so much for talking with us about the Fresh Air Fund. What an incredible program. I mean, just that impact of spending time outdoors and connecting with others. Oh, I love it. That is so awesome.
We love it.
Hey, you have been listening to Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12, a podcast to help you help kids achieve their dreams. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is a member of the Education Podcast Network. Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is a member of the podcast network based in Canada called Voice Ed Radio. Voice Ed Radio, your voice is right here. The opinions expressed on Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 are those of the guests and host. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is intended to share ideas, advice, and suggestions. Teaching, Learning, Leading K-12 is produced for educational purposes. Hey, thanks for listening. It would be awesome if you visited my website at stephenmiletto.com and connected with me, left a review, and listened to more episodes. And by the way, you could also share it with your friends, with your family, and your colleagues. Thanks so much. You're awesome.